So we can't be beaten on this policy-wise. I think we've already won the policy arguments on the economy, on education, on a number of issues. I think we've got some work to do on the young people who think differently on abortion, perhaps, or guns, or climate change. But even there, the Democrats' messages are usually cynical. The thing I'm really concerned about with this, Laura, is that the left becomes a turnout machine with young people, because influencers have this domino effect, lemming-like effect of people just all then wanting to be part of the same crowd. And if they succeed in that way, we're not doing a great job competing for ballots. We're just competing for votes.
Kellyanne Conway is noticeably, at least, she's correct about one thing. They need to get these young voters. But every time they talk about getting young voters, these Republicans insult them, say they're lemmings, say that they're brainwashed. And then when they go to college, they don't learn anything. They just learn how to follow lock and step with Democrats. One small tweak on that thought process. They're humans. They have thought processes. They actually pay attention to what's going on in their world, in their country, and they don't agree with you. So the response then is, we hate those guys. Matter of fact, we need to change their minds to fit our old school narratives rather than going and representing the people of this country. That is the approach that's happening. As a matter of fact, I guess the Biden White House is trying to go a different direction. This is what has these guys so upset, because Biden's making this point to invite these young folks, and actually they're going after influencers to help them out to getting their message. One of those, I guess, being Olivia Rodrigo, when she came to the White House and hung out with Biden. He's a very cool guy wearing his sunglasses inside. I guess those lights are a little bit bright. Come on, man. Biden's one of those old guys who's like, I remember back when I was 27, when I wore these Ray-Bans, the girls came. And he has to put them on no matter how old he gets. He thinks it still works out for him, which I guess is better than nothing for him. One more small piece here, because Kellyanne Conway was talking about young folks, but her daughter, as we famously remember, should probably be telling her, yo, you're barking up the wrong tree and you're doing it the wrong way. Here's some of the whole recent tweets that she's just had in general. I've been waiting for Trump to be under arrest since I was 14 and lived in D.C. Prayers work. I don't think they're on your side, Kellyanne. No one is above the law. F you, Donald. An indictment slay, she also says. Maybe pay attention to what they're saying. I assume she's still somewhat near your home. I'm not sure if you completely disowned her yet, but still. I mentioned this whole strategy for young voters and influencers coming around really fast. Biden's made his policy a strategy on this whole thing here. 4 Biden digital staffers are focused on influencers and independent content creators to help them out. The staffers officially work for the White House, but not Biden's campaign. Reaching young and suburban voters is clearly a priority for them. Now, they consider these young voters 18 to 29. They preferred Biden over Trump by a 26-point margin in 2020, and Democrats over Republicans by 28 points. This is something that Republicans are noticing, and their response instead is to be like, look at these idiots. Can you believe that they're actually listening to them? No, maybe, outside chance. Maybe some politicians are listening to constituents, even if they're 25 years old. It's a crazy, shocking thing. But one more small thing to lead us into you, Oz. One of these influencers that's talking and speaking up and trying to go through some of these policy positions from the White House and some Dems is this guy. Let's watch.
So Donald Trump's legal troubles in New York hasn't ended, because this week Donald Trump is expected to be back in New York City to sit for a deposition in the New York AG's $250 million civil probe into his real estate business practices. Like, folks, we gotta remember that in the state of New York, Donald Trump is under multiple investigations, one criminal and one civil. And now he's gonna be back to answer some questions about alleged fraud.
That's Harry Sisson, was. I mean, he's got me convinced.
It's funny because conservatives do have their own influencers. It's just that it's guys like Kyle Rittenhouse who go out and kill dudes, right? Like, and women. Like, they have influencers. They have younger people who do the crazy stuff on TikTok and all over social. This idea that they don't is kind of crazy, but yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's this idea that young people left to their own devices do not agree with the crap and the nonsense that comes out of the I shouldn't say newly, but the deranged GOP, the right wing, like all of the stuff that they come out and say, like trans people are ruining our lives. we want to see gay rights rolled back. Like, we don't want to hear about black people's troubles from the past. It's making us hate ourselves as white. It's like, who wants to agree with this? I don't understand.
Nobody wants to agree with it, but that's the thing. It's once they realize nobody wants to agree with it, then it comes to the iron fist approach. That's where the violence comes. That's where the threats come, and that's where disenfranchising voters come. If you can't beat them, or if you can't convince them, or if you can't represent them, attack. And I think these younger voters are figuring it out. And every time you insult them, it gets logged. It's a petty group of young voters, petty enough to actually want their interests to be represented by the folks who they elect. That's why they're electing folks like Justin Jones, Justin Pearson, specifically just in the state legislature there in Tennessee. Maybe it'll get more broad. We have the AOCs of the world. We see how people respond to her when she was in office. When she got into office right away, it was anger and how dare they, going to talk about who she is, nothing about the policies, just how much they hate her.